What we have here from Logitech is an elite premium option on the gaming mouse side of things that could very well influence the outcome of a competitive gaming match. The Logitech G Pro X2 Superstrike essentially throws the kitchen sink and then some at gamers, covering every edge and competitive advantage into one little package. For the last few years, the gaming mouse market has really been on a mission to shave off as much weight as possible to create the lightest mouse possible. Logitech doesn't seem to just be chasing grounds with the Super Strike, though. Instead, they've completely re engineered the most fundamental part of the mouse: how it clicks. I'm Alex from Hypnotics, and this is our full review of this Super Strike mouse. But before we get too deep into this, I wanted to say that this mouse was donated to us by a viewer for us to review, but everything I'm going to say is based on my experience using this mouse. So let's talk about it right now. Clocking in at a steep $179.99, the Super Strike ports rapid trigger technology, a feature typically exclusive to the world of high-end mechanical keyboards, directly into your palm. It stands as an ambitious and potentially polarizing piece of tech that could very well redefine the standards for competitive gaming hardware. While tipping the scales at 61 grams doesn't really crown it as a absolute featherweight in a market where competitors are aggressively dipping into the sub 50-gram territory, the Super Strike remains exceptionally nimble. Without actually throwing it on a scale, you'll be hard pressed to actually believe that other mice weigh less than the Super Strike. That's also with that USB receiver stored inside of the mouse for safekeeping, which is a function that I really like having since you won't lose that at all. The build quality is undeniably premium, utilizing a 0.7 millimeter thin wall chassis that exhibits zero creaking or structural flexing even under significant pressure. Flip it over and you'll find an extra large UHMWPE feet that facilitate a buttery smooth glide across any surface. I've been actually throwing my mouse across a glass pad, and it's been truly remarkable just how lucid a mouse can actually feel in your hand nowadays with this type of combination here. I wouldn't personally say this is like the most ergonomically comfortable mouse that I've held in my hand, but it also wasn't a cause for hand cramps after a few hours of gaming with it either. I play with either a palm or claw grip depending on the circumstances, and both of these grips translate into the shape of the build decently. In keeping with its pedigree as a serious esports tool, Logitech has stripped away really any trace of RGB lighting, opting for, I guess you could say, a sophisticated matte finish. It's available in either black or white. These are very standard gaming colors. And also, it features a minimalistic 5 button layout. That's all you get here. Now, the undisputed star of the show is Logitech's new HITS technology, or HITS, however they want to say this is. Logitech has ripped out the traditional mechanical microswitches and replaced them with inductive sensors synced with custom haptic hardware. This gives your gameplay the ability to utilize tunable actuation, in which you can adjust the exact travel distance required for a click to register across 10 different actuation points. You'll also have rapid trigger reset, which lets you set how far the key must return before it resets across 5 different levels. By calibrating the actuation to a shallow 2 by 10 or 3 out of 10, the mouse registers a shot in literal milliseconds that you exert the pressure in. Of course, this is way more than my level of gaming needs, but even with the casual gaming prowess that I have, I too felt impressed with just how fast this nifty little peripheral felt when I was using it for my uses of it. There might be a short learning curve with this system since the traditional physical break of a mechanical switch is absent, and the tactile experience is delivered entirely through the haptic feedback, which, much like actuation, is customized across 6 distinct intensity levels. To my hand, the sensation is best described as a standard click, slightly muffled by, I would say, layers of tissues. It lacks that signature sharp acoustic clack that many gamers are accustomed to using their traditional mice. While it doesn't feel mushy in the traditional sense like that, it is undeniably distinct though. For those who depend on that crisp physical snap, you might find yourself battling accidental double clicks or misfires during that critical window where your muscle memory is really like forced to recalibrate and relearn what it feels like. For me, I normally tell people, this is not much different than the shift from mechanical keyboards to magnetic switches we've seen in the huge surge of Hall effect boards circulating the market right now. It's an evolution of sorts, and eventually, I do surmise most people will switch over to this kind of technology with their own personal setups, especially once this gets cheaper. The heart of the Superstrike is powered by Logitech's Hero 2 sensor. It boasts a maximum of 44,000 DPI, handles 88 G-force of acceleration, and tracks at over 888 IPS. Pair that with the included Lightspeed receiver capable of 8 kilohertz polling, and you have a mouse that tracks basically flawlessly. There is no spin out, no artificial acceleration, and no jitter that I've seen, and that's hopefully to be expected when you're doling out this asking price for a mouse. It might be an exaggeration to say this, but in some ways, the mouse does feel like an extension of my hand when you consider all the variables it unites. The lightness, the speed, the features. The Super Strike does feel like an accessory that's goal is to aid you and not to sabotage you. At the end of the day, that's what we want from our gaming peripherals, at least to fool ourselves into believing that is. Customization and fine tuning are managed through the notorious Logitech G Hub suite, acting as the command center where you can dial in haptic intensity, specific actuation points, and precise DPI intervals. As always with software from big gaming accessory makers, it can occasionally feel a bit cumbersome to navigate, to connect, and to control. When things get going and are actually controlled properly, though, the level of granular control it affords over the hit system is pretty expansive. My biggest complaint about this mouse is, though, the lack of a physical DPI button on the mouse. Logitech makes the assumption that you will set the DPI with the G Hub and leave it as such during a session or throughout the day. While that's fine for a single gaming session, I personally change my DPI setting for various reasons when operating my PC. I also currently only use one single mouse across my Windows and my Mac OS setups. G Hub has a list of different full settings on it, which is great. It actually is. They refined it pretty well. But you will still need to open up the program every time to change it. While the mouse does have onboard memory, I swap over from Windows to Mac frequently, and the settings do not carry over from one OS to another, meaning I have to download G Hub for both computers. A preloaded set that can be toggled through the button anywhere on the mouse is something I took for granted until I lost that flexibility with the Super Strike. And as a wireless mouse with the additions of haptic motors and the 8 kilohertz polling, Logitech has still managed to squeeze a solid battery life showing out of the Pro X2 Super Strike. Depending on the usage, I'd say like 60 to 90 hour range is a good gauge on a single charge via the USB-C port. While I didn't have the Power Play 2 wireless charging ecosystem that Logitech sells separately, I wasn't able to review that. But this is compatible with that product. At times, I wonder to myself if the Logitech Pro X2 Super Strike was the right mouse for me. The honest truth is that it's likely meant for a small segment of the gamer market that is ultra competitive at FPS games, looking to shave off every possible millisecond off of their reaction time to match that high-end Hall effect keyboard performance they already have. If you're already reaping the benefits of rapid trigger on your keyboard, I would say it's only natural to want to unify that experience across your desktop so that the mouse is the next logical item to upgrade. So I understand why you would look at this. However, you're not going to magically become a top-ranked player in your game simply by purchasing this powerful little mouse. If you're bad at a game, no amount of money you spend will compensate for the deficiencies in your skill set. Still, like I've said in many of my reviews for Hall effect keyboards, competent gamers, competent competitors that know how to capitalize with better weapons will absolutely find the Superstrike to be that ace in the hole that can kind of pull you out of the trenches when you need it. Once again, I'm Alex from Hypnotics. Let me know what you think of a $180 mouse like this. Do you need this rapid trigger technology on your mouse for your gaming needs? Let me know in the comments below, and hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you guys follow along our journey when we review all these tech things in the world, and I'll see you guys next time.